Yo, what up? I'm Yovan Buha, Lakers beat writer for The Athletic, and I just got back from the Lakers-Pistons game and want to give you some quick reactions from that. I'm going to try something new here. I tried to do it at the arena, but they were breaking down all the seats and there's a bunch of noise, so I'm going to try and figure that out to try and do something on scene. But in the meantime, I have the studio here at home. So might as well use that. But the Lakers beat the Pistons 125 to 111. LA is now 29 and 26. It is the first time they are 3 games or more above 500 since December 19th. That is almost 2 months ago. When relayed that fact, Darvin Ham said, "Damn," after the game. He was surprised by that. And this is really the best sustained stretch of basketball we've seen from the Lakers since that early December in-season tournament run. I think it's safe to say now. And of course, Pistons, they've won 8 games, so you're not going to hold them to, or you're not going to judge the Lakers based on beating the Pistons by 14 points at home. I think the line was like 10.5, so this was expected. But I think, again, seeing all 5 starters get in double figures and LeBron and AD getting to rest on the front end of a back-to-back. We did find out post-game that LeBron is not going to be playing in Utah. This is the second time this season he is not playing in Utah. And I think several times now over the past couple of years, he just has not played in Salt Lake City for whatever reason. That is a big blow for the Lakers. Utah is 5th in the West in terms of best record at home, despite being 11th in the conference. So it is one of the toughest places to play. Everyone thinks of Denver as the elevation and the home court advantage, but Utah is right there. Not quite the same level, but it is a tough back-to-back. That is one of the toughest back-to-backs in the league, is flying to Utah and having to deal with the elevation and the altitude and just the way that team plays at home. So not having LeBron is going to be a big loss for the Lakers. It is interesting that he chose to play against the Pistons, a game that the Lakers probably could have won had he not been available, and then rested against the Jazz, a team that the Lakers are currently battling in the West standings and a team they've already lost to on the road, exactly a month ago, actually. So I think with that situation, sometimes the guy just prefers to play in the home game, and that's my read on the situation. It's a little bit easier. He doesn't have to travel. I mean, I'm sure he'll travel to Salt Lake City and sit on the bench, but like he doesn't have to prepare for the altitude and the elevation, and he's going to be going straight to Indiana for All-Star Weekend. And I think or maybe I think he's actually flying in Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, I think for him it just didn't make sense. I do think it's a big blow for the Lakers, and that is certainly a game they could lose, again, with the way that they've played on the road, with the way that Utah has played at home. It's certainly within the realm of possibility, and that's a big game for them. I think if they can close out these final 4 against Denver, New Orleans, Detroit, and Utah 3-1, like that to me is a successful stretch going into the All-Star break. And one thing that I'm writing about, and Darvin Ham spoke about pregame and postgame, was that he had a meeting with the team today at shoot around where the coaching staff showed them a slide with different scenarios in terms of projected record, projected wins for different spots in the standings. And Darvin talked about 3 different scenarios. Sounded like one scenario was getting the 6th seed and getting out of the play-in tournament entirely. Another scenario was getting the 7 or 8 seed and having at least 2 opportunities to advance from the play-in tournament. And then scenario number 3 was getting the 9 or 10 seed, where the Lakers would potentially be at risk of going home if they lost that first matchup. So we don't know the exact win totals that he and the coaching staff had for the team, but they did have 28 games remaining, and that's interesting to me because last season with 28 games remaining. That's when Dennis Schroeder, who would always spill the beans to us in media availabilities, he became one of our favorite people to talk to at practices and shoot-arounds and post-game, just because he would always just share something that he wasn't supposed to share. And in this case, one of the things that he shared was that the Lakers wanted to go 19-9 to close the season and get out of the play-in tournament. And last year they ended up going 18-10, and they got the 7 seed, and they ended up beating Minnesota, of course, in the play-in tournament, the 7-8 matchup, and then advanced to the playoffs where they beat Memphis in round 1, Golden State in round 2, and then lost to Denver in the conference finals. But similar conversations going on right now with the Lakers in terms of a target and them trying to get out of the play-in tournament if possible. So I followed up with Darvin after the game and asked him directly, like, what's that number, or what were the numbers that you were showing the group? He didn't want to disclose it, but just said that again, there's 3 different scenarios that they're talking through, and he thinks it's good for them to have a goal. I asked LeBron about it. He said that similarly, he doesn't view it as like necessarily a target or a goal, just to play the best basketball that the Lakers can play. And for AD, I asked him as well, and he just said getting the 6th seed and getting out of the play-in mix. Like, that's the goal. Lakers have been in the play-in tournament a couple times now, and AD doesn't want to be in the play-in tournament. So it sounds like the Lakers are really keying in on, is it possible to somehow get out of the play-in mix? And with the way that they're playing, it looks like it is possible. But the tricky part is the West continues to just be a bloodbath right now, where entering tonight's game, all of the top 10 teams in the West had won at least 6 of their past 10 games. So all 10 teams in the West are playing at really high levels right now. Every team is playing at an above 500 level, recently, on top of just their season-long record. So there are no assurances for the Lakers, and they're going to have to play some of these teams head-to-head, a couple times, even 3 times in some cases, and maybe I think a couple for the most part. But like, they're going to have to win some of these games. Like, the West matchups from here on out are going to be really important. And not just, of course, the teams that are directly in competition with, be it Sacramento, Phoenix, New Orleans, Dallas, and the Lakers have gotten some of those wins recently, beating Dallas, beating New Orleans, and they haven't beaten Sacramento this season, and Phoenix got the best of them after they started 3-0 against them to start the year. But the Utah game is really important. They come out of the break and play Golden State. And I think like those are 2 huge games, but then you also have games against Denver and Minnesota, OKC, the Clippers. Like, every game in the West against that top 10 or 11 really matters the rest of the way, because you're potentially knocking one of those teams down a peg or 2 in the standings, but also it's propelling the Lakers, potentially above some of those teams, which is the goal, moving forward. So standings watch, it's never too early, but it feels like that's something that's been very top of mind for the Lakers right now. And yeah, the only other thing really with this game was Spencer Dinwiddie made his Lakers debut, 6 points, 6 assists off the top of my head, in about 31 minutes. And, offensively, a little rusty, but that's to be expected. And then 6 assists. Like, I thought his playmaking was pretty good. And that's an element that it kind of made D'Lo a little bit more of a scorer when those 2 guys played together. And I think it unlocks a bit for D'Lo and for Austin, where they don't have to carry the ball handling and playmaking load as much. And we saw Spencer used in different ways. Darvin said it's it's an exploratory process right now. So they're trying to see what combinations make the most sense with him. And we didn't see much of the 3-guard lineup. We did see it for a little bit. We also saw a 4 small lineup where Torian was at the 4, and that lasted all of 10 seconds and 2 possessions before Jackson Hayes subbed in for Austin Reeves. So I think fans can relax for now in terms of being afraid of some of those 3-guard lineups. But Spencer did play a large role. He was clearly the biggest the biggest factor off the bench in terms of just minutes and roles. So I do think that's something to monitor moving forward. Did play a lot next to Austin, a lot next to D'Lo, and again, a little bit next to both of them. And we'll see, maybe the Salt Lake game, the Utah game rather, gives him an opportunity to take on a bigger role offensively with LeBron out, and with the Lakers needing some of that ISO scoring, some of that pick and roll play that he excels in. So I think, for the Lakers, things are trending in the right direction. They need to get healthy. They need to get some of these defensive guys back. They're missing Jared Vanderbilt, Max Christie, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, all defensive-minded guys, all guys that can shore up their perimeter defense, which has been problematic at times. But then you have Anthony Davis back there, and he had an incredible play where 3-on-1 fast break, he blocks Jalen Duren at the rim, and it just AD continues to make these amazing plays. To me, I know Rudy Gobert is the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, but I think AD is right there as the number 2 guy, and frankly, one factoring in supporting casts, I don't even think it's close. Where what the load that AD has to carry, and just looking at some of the guys that like Rudy. I mean, he has Jaden McDaniels, he has Anthony Edwards, and even Cat. I know isn't a plus defender necessarily, but he is a big 6'11", 7-footer next to him. Like the Lakers are playing small in a lot of lineups. With AD, and even when he's playing next to a Jackson Hayes or Christian Wood, it's not necessarily like an above average defensive center. So I think AD's he's been he might not be the Defensive Player of the Year, or might not win it at least, but he's the firefighter of the year because he puts out so many fires on a nightly basis for the Lakers defense, and really like without them, or without him rather, they would just be a complete mess defensively, and they have been for the better part of the past month or so. They've been about a bottom 10, 11 defense, but I think they'd be much worse. They'd be like Detroit Pistons level if it wasn't for Anthony Davis, and then factoring in again some of the recent injuries. So big game coming up Wednesday night in Utah. I will not be there. I'm staying home from that one. I'm also staying home from All-Star Weekend, but I will be coming back to you with a reaction to it. Also might be doing a live stream during the day, doing a bit of some Q&A. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching this first reaction video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback, let me know. I'm always open to that, and I appreciate you guys rocking with me.